Happy holidays, everyone. Hope you all had some time to relax yesterday and maybe enjoy some delicious leftovers.
Definitely. Happy holidays to you too.
So we're back today to take a look at some of the biggest tech stock winners of the year.
Yeah, should be interesting.
You know, the kind of stories that make you go, how did that happen?
Right,
Well,
exactly.
we're going to be looking at Ari Levy's piece in CNBC published just yesterday on Christmas Day.
Okay.
And it's really interesting how two major themes that we've been talking about for a while now, AI and crypto, are driving these massive stock gains.
Yeah, it's really something. We've been talking about this for a while now, like you said, and it's almost like we're watching our predictions play out in real time.
I know, it's kind of crazy, right?
Oh,
Remember all those conversations about AI's potential to transform industries and the growing influence of crypto?
oh yeah, for sure.
Well, this year's top stock performers are practically a textbook example.
It is pretty amazing to see it all happening right in front of us. And the takeaway here is that understanding these technologies isn't just about knowing the latest buzzwords. It's about really grasping the forces that are reshaping the financial landscape as we speak.
I completely agree. So let's jump right in. We'll start with a company that has seen an almost unbelievable rise this year, AppLovin.
Okay.
And get this, they're worth more than Starbucks now.
Wow. That's actually a good point because it shows how they've changed. They started in mobile gaming, but their success really took off when they switched to online ads powered by AI. And that's why their stock has increased by, the 758% this year.
It's incredible, 758%. And their CEO, Adam Forogey, he's very excited about the future of targeted ads in games and e-commerce. He even talked about this test project where
They're putting targeted ads right into the games.
it's really interesting.
Yeah, the whole idea is to make advertising a natural part of the gaming experience. And if they can do it using AI to match those ads to each player, it could really change things.
Yeah, he even said, and this is a quote, "I think in-app advertising will be one of the most important channels for e-commerce over the next 10 years."
Wow.
Bold statement, right?
It is bold, but think about it. Gamers are already a really engaged audience, so if you can give them ads that they actually like, that's huge. And it shows that AI isn't just some abstract idea, it's creating real business opportunities.
For sure. So anyone interested in AI and advertising needs to keep an eye on AppLovin. They're really pushing the boundaries in a field that's changing so fast.
Absolutely. Now let's move on to a company that took a completely different approach, but equally bold. MicroStrategy. This is the company that went all in on Bitcoin.
And it paid off big time.
Yeah, it did.
They went from a focus on business intelligence software to becoming, wait for it, the world's fourth largest holder of Bitcoin.
Can you believe it? It's incredible. They have something like over 444,000 Bitcoins. And that move, along with the rise in Bitcoin's value this year, pushed their stock up by 467%.
Now, some might call this a risky move, but MicroStrategy's founder, Michael Saylor, is a true believer in Bitcoin. He's been saying for years that Bitcoin is the future of money.
Yeah, and he's also been talking about something he calls a digital asset framework. It's basically a set of regulations and structures that would make the crypto market more legitimate and organized. Saylor thinks this framework, along with growing institutional adoption, will lead to a massive increase in the whole digital asset industry.
You know what's really interesting for us as crypto enthusiasts? Remember all those conversations we had about the potential of Bitcoin in the long term? Well, Saylor's bet, even though it's definitely bold, is based on a deep understanding of the technology.
Exactly. He gets how it could completely change traditional finance.
For sure. And this digital asset framework, we really should explore that more because it gets to the heart of how crypto can go from this niche thing to a normal part of the global financial system.
Absolutely. This is bigger than just one company making a bet. It's about a potential paradigm shift.
Okay, ready for another fascinating player? This one's called Palantir, and they work with data analytics, mainly with defense and government agencies. They're in a slightly controversial area, but you can't deny they're successful. Their stock has gone up an impressive 380% this year, thanks to strong earnings and revenue growth. It seems like they found a market where demand is steady and only getting bigger.
And their CEO, Alex Karp, is also a big believer in the power of AI. He said their recent success is due to, and I'm quoting here, unrelenting AI demand that won't slow down. Sounds like they're riding a wave they don't see ending anytime soon.
For sure. And here's where things get a little interesting. While Palantir's co-founder, Peter Thiel, was a big Trump supporter, And Karp himself went to that meeting with tech leaders at Trump Tower back in 2016.
Right.
Well, Karp openly supported Kamala Harris in this year's election.
Interesting.
Yeah, it shows that the world of tech and politics isn't always so clear-cut.
Yeah, definitely.
There are often complex relationships at play.
For sure.
And despite those political connections, Wall Street is still optimistic about Palantir, especially because of the potential for more military spending in the coming years.
That makes you think about the ethical side of a company like this, right?
Definitely. It's a good reminder that advancements in technology often come with complicated ethical questions.
Yeah, definitely something to think about.
Okay, let's move on to a company that's probably more familiar to most investors, Robinhood. They've had a pretty wild ride this year, but
I've still managed to more than triple their stock price.
I know, right?
Amazing.
Despite a tough time in October, their crypto trading platform has been a huge success, making crypto accessible to a whole bunch of new retail investors.
Right, and their CEO, Vlad Tenev, he really believes in the power of crypto to change things. He sees it as much more than just an investment and thinks it could completely disrupt traditional finance.
It's interesting to compare Robinhood's growth to Coinbase.
Another big player in crypto trading.
Right. While Robinhood's stock has actually done better than Coinbase's this year.
Coinbase still has a much higher market cap, suggesting that investors see them as a more stable bet in the long term.
Okay.
And lastly, let's talk about the big one, Nvidia. This company has just exploded, adding a mind-blowing $2.2 trillion to their market cap this year.
$2.2 trillion. It's hard to imagine a number that big. It seems like all that hype about AI last year was just the start. And Nvidia's control of GPUs, which are essential for AI, has only become stronger.
Yeah, they've been battling with Apple for the title of the world's most valuable company, which says a lot about how much the market believes in their future.
Yeah, and the revenue growth has been amazing. CEO Jensen Huang is already talking about their next-generation AI chip, Blackwell. He says it's in full production and that they expect it to bring in several $billion in the next quarter.
Wow, they're constantly pushing the limits of what's possible with AI hardware.
They really are. It is worth mentioning, though, that some experts are saying their growth might slow down next year.
That's understandable, I guess. It's hard to keep growing that fast forever.
Right, especially when you're already such a dominant player.
And there's also the risk because Nvidia depends on just a few big tech companies for most of their revenue. So any economic problems could really affect their business.
Right, even the most successful companies aren't immune to market forces.
Very true. But despite those possible challenges, Nvidia's story shows how quickly things can change in tech and how companies that innovate can see huge rewards.
And speaking of innovation, all these companies we've talked about today are riding the wave of AI and crypto, but each in their own way. It's like they're catching the same wave, but on different surfboards.
That's a great analogy. And that's what makes the CNBC article so interesting. It shows how these trends are actually happening in the real world, not just in theory. It really does bring to life all those conversations we've had about the future of tech. Remember when we talked about how AI could totally change everything from healthcare to manufacturing?
Yeah, I remember. That was really eye-opening. It made me think about the possibilities in a whole new way.
And then there was that episode where we did a deep dive into crypto, talking about how it could disrupt traditional finance.
Oh, yeah. We even debated whether Bitcoin was really a store of value or just something people were speculating on.
Exactly. And now we're seeing all these theoretical ideas come to life in these companies.
It's not just about understanding the technology anymore. It's about how companies are using it to create value, build businesses, and make profits.
Exactly. And that's where the real opportunity is for investors and anyone interested in the future of the economy. So what's the main thing our listeners should take away from this, especially those who are new to AI and crypto?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that AI and crypto are not just trendy words. They're causing massive changes in the tech world. And these 5 companies, AppLovin, MicroStrategy, Palantir, Robinhood, and Nvidia, they're really just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, they're like pioneers going into uncharted territory, showing us what's possible. And that's why it's so important to stay informed about these trends, because they will have a huge impact on all of us in every part of our lives.
Exactly. You mentioned MicroStrategy's digital asset framework earlier. I think we should talk about that a bit more. What exactly is it, and how could it change things for crypto?
It's a crucial concept because it addresses one of the major challenges facing crypto right now, regulation. Saylor envisions a set of clear rules and legal frameworks that would bring stability and legitimacy to the crypto market.
So it's like creating a rule book for the Wild West of crypto.
Exactly. And this is something we've talked about before, the need for clearer rules to encourage mainstream adoption. Saylor thinks this framework would make institutional investors more comfortable putting money into crypto, which would lead to more stability and activity in the market.
It makes sense. Right now, there's a lot of uncertainty about crypto regulation, and that can be a problem for big investors.
Absolutely. He's comparing it to the early days of the internet when things were also uncertain and there weren't many rules. Once regulations came in, it opened the way for huge growth and innovation.
It's an interesting comparison.
Yeah.
So is he saying that crypto could be as impactful as the internet?
That's what he seems to be suggesting. He believes that this digital asset framework is the key to unlocking crypto's potential and making it a normal financial tool. And as crypto experts, I think we need to take this idea seriously.
I agree. Now let's switch gears a bit and talk about the ethical issues we touched on before. Palantir's work with government agencies, especially in defense and intelligence, raises some big questions.
It does. Their technology is incredibly powerful, but it could be used for things that some people might find disturbing. Data privacy surveillance and misuse are all real concerns.
It's a reminder that technological advancements often come with a responsibility to consider the ethical implications.
Exactly. It's a discussion we need to have as a society. How do we make sure that these powerful tools are used in a responsible and ethical way? Where do we draw the line?
It's a tough question with no easy answers,
Yeah.
but I think it's really important to talk about these things and understand the potential downsides, even while we're excited about the possibilities.
Absolutely. We need to think critically about these things and not just get swept up in the hype of the latest tech trends.
Okay, now let's talk about Robinhood, the company that has made crypto accessible to everyday investors. What do you think about their impact?
I think they've been important in giving more people access to crypto. Their platform is really easy to use, and it has made it much simpler for people to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrencies.
And they've introduced a whole new generation to the world of investing.
Yes, exactly. They've made it easier to get started, so people who might have been intimidated by traditional brokers can now try out crypto.
But it hasn't all been easy for them, right? Haven't they faced some criticism too?
Yeah, they have. Some people say they've made investing too much like a game and that they're exposing new investors to big risks.
That's a fair point.
Hmm.
It's good to make investing easy and accessible, but people also need to understand the risks involved.
Definitely. There's a balance between making finance more open and encouraging people to do things that are too risky. I think Robinhood needs to keep educating its users about the downsides of investing, especially in things like cryptocurrencies that can be unpredictable.
I agree. Transparency and education are crucial when you're dealing with technology that many people still don't fully understand.
You're right. It's all about giving investors the knowledge they need to make smart decisions.
And that brings us to Nvidia. Their story really shows how quickly things can change in the tech world and how those who embrace innovation can be very successful.
Their dominance in GPUs, which are so important for AI, has put them at the forefront of the tech industry. And their CEO, Jensen Huang, seems to be really good at predicting what's coming next.
He definitely takes risks and pushes the limits of what's possible.
Exactly. And that's what sets them apart. They're not just following trends, they're the ones creating them.
So we've covered a lot today. We've looked at the amazing growth of these companies, the power of AI and crypto to change things, and the ethical questions that come with these advances.
And one of the main takeaways, I think, is that we're really just at the beginning of this technological revolution. As AI and crypto continue to develop, we can expect to see even more innovation, disruption, and opportunity.
It's a really exciting time to be alive.
It is, and it's a time that requires our attention, our critical thinking, and our willingness to engage in these crucial conversations.
Okay, so where do we go from here? We've discussed these massive trends, these companies riding the wave, but what does it all mean for the average person who's just trying to understand it all?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? And it's why we do this, to try and explain these complicated topics in a way that makes sense.
Right, it's easy to get lost in all the information out there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what our listeners can actually do with this knowledge.
Good idea. I think the first step is realizing that AI and crypto aren't just niche things anymore. They're becoming a part of our daily lives, whether we know it or not.
It's not just about investing in tech stocks. It's about understanding how these technologies are changing how we work, how we shop, how we get information, even how governments work.
Exactly. So we need to stay curious, stay informed. Don't just read the headlines, think about it more deeply. Ask yourself, how could this affect my job, my community.
Yeah, it's about connecting the dots. Like we talked about AppLovin's AI-powered ads in games. Think about how often you see personalized ads online in the apps you use. That's AI working in the background, shaping your online experience.
Right. And then there's MicroStrategy's bet on Bitcoin and this whole idea of a digital asset framework. It might seem like a complicated idea, but it could have a huge impact on the future of finance. Imagine a world where crypto is as normal as using a credit card. That's what they're hoping for.
And even companies like Nvidia, while they're not directly involved in crypto, their GPUs are essential for all the AI development happening. So it's important to understand how all these things are connected.
I completely agree. And I think that's where the real tower is, not just for tech experts, but for everyone. It's about seeing the bigger picture, understanding how these trends are all coming together to create something completely new.
It's exciting, it's a bit scary, but it's definitely something we need to be talking about. And that's what we've tried to do today, get people thinking, give our listeners something to consider.
Absolutely. And as always, we encourage you to do your own research. Don't just take our word for it. There are so many resources out there, articles, podcasts, online communities where you can connect with other people who are interested in this stuff.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to ask questions, to challenge what you hear, and to form your own opinions. That's what makes this whole journey so interesting.
Well said. And on that note, we want to thank you for joining us on this exploration of the year's top tech stocks. It's been quite a ride, and we've just scratched the surface.
If you like this episode and you want to stay up to date on all things tech and finance, hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. We'll be back soon with more deep dives into the amazing world of innovation and change.
Until then, stay curious and keep exploring.